You ready? We need your audio too, or then bonus. All right, calling to order the November 3rd, 2025 meeting of the Lone Lake City Council. Good evening, everyone. It's 6:34. Just going to start a couple minutes late this evening. All council members are present. Let's move to item number 2, which is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item 3, mayor comments, Lone Lake News, meeting review and updates. So a few updates tonight. For starters, the City Council just finished a work session where we discussed proposed 2026 utility rates and the budget and levy. More information to come on that in the coming council meetings here as we work to refine all those numbers and come up with a final approval on our budget and levy and rates. City updates. Hopefully everyone had a great Halloween on Friday. Busy night having it be on a Friday, and a lot of trick-or-treaters at my house at least, and seeing many around the city. A few other events were last Tuesday, I think it was, the Lone Lake Waters Association, the Minnehaha Creek Watershed District put on a great event that was held at the City of Orono Council Chambers. A packed crowd to talk about water quality in Long Lake itself and kind of the blue-green algae or whatever it is that's been impacting the lake there. And a lot of residents who've been on the lake for many, many years spoke of it being the worst condition that they have seen it in during their time, and not to mention odor and other things. So the Minnehaha Creek Watershed District laid out some kind of overall goals that they have in mind for improving water quality in the coming years on the lake, and I know they sent out a follow-up email to some of us today or over the weekend, so more to come on that, but that was a really good event, and a lot of council members were there as well as some Orono council members. So thanks to the Lone Lake Waters Association for sponsoring that event. That's a big event to put on. Last Thursday, we had a special meeting of the Lone Lake City Council in which we approved unanimously the joint powers agreement to form the Shoreline Fire Department. So if any of you missed that last meeting, that was a really big update there, and excited to move forward. I know the fire board had its first meeting today, so they're already hard at work and getting things set up for 2026. And then tomorrow is election day, so we're meeting on Monday. We usually meet on Tuesdays, and that's because tomorrow's election day, and city councils and I think other public bodies are not allowed to meet on election day. But we do not have any elections taking place in Long Lake tomorrow. I think you're off the hook for that, right? So now a lot of those cities, Minnetonka and elsewhere have elections going on tomorrow, but there are none here, so don't come to vote at Lone Lake City Hall. All right, so that's just some updates that have been occurring over the last week or two since we last met. With that, we'll move on to item 4, which is to approve this evening's agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 5 is consent agenda. Items A through D on the consent agenda this evening. Any questions for staff regarding items on the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously on the consent agenda. Item 6, open correspondence. Open correspondence is an item on the agenda during which the public may address the City Council. No formal action is taken by the City Council, and comments should be limited to 5 minutes or less. And open correspondence comments may also be emailed to city staff by noon on the date of the meeting. Any email or open correspondence this evening? All right. Moving right along then, regular business, item 7A, approve a payment request number 1 or final for the 2025 pavement rehabilitation project on Lindawood Lane. This is going to be Public Works Director Dirks? Or is it? Okay.
No, this was actually prepared by our city engineer, and Alta Furnish is simply let you know whether there's any outstanding issues or not, but essentially the contractor has completed their work for the Lindawood Lane project, which included pavement reclamation, the roadways paving, some curb installation, and some minor storm sewer infrastructure installation and related work associated with the project. There were no change orders for the project, so at this time, what you have in front of you is approving the first pay request and final pay request to Aztec Corp. In the amount of $173,215.93 for the 2025 pavement rehabilitation project.
This is less
It's
than
actually
the
coming in
original.
Under budget, correct. And that is a good thing.
Nice.
Wow.
That's fabulous.
Wasn't there some drainage issue though after they were done?
Been corrected.
What did they do to correct that?
There was a drainage easement off cul-de-sac in the south end that needed to be reshaped a bit, and, it's draining correctly now.
So I know the people that have that new house there, the Tates, that there was some drainage problem after the fact.
There is, an issue there, or potential issue there that the city is, standing firm on. We just put in a new street, we're not gonna cut the street at this time. They want us to cut a chunk out of the street and relay it, and I refuse to do it.
Okay.
Could they sue for that?
But but is there a drainage issue there yet?
There's a little bit of ponding at the end of the driveway. It's not a safety issue, it's just a little bit of ponding there, and, I don't feel it's significant enough to rip the road up and redo it.
So kind of what caused it? Was it the road or was it is there something that their contractor could do to mitigate that?
Well, it was all put together all at the same time, and there is a little high spot there where, the curb and gutter is, but, like I said, it's not significant enough to rip out and redo.
So they could change it too. They
They could redo
they
the
could grade
driveway.
the driveway as well.
Regrade it, yeah.
So the maintenance bond would only cover like maintenance, not, if something, this is like a warranty of, workmanship sort of, a maintenance bond? And so that wouldn't cover any sort of issue with the engineering or anything? Because the homeowner couldn't come back and say it was an engineering issue with the city.
Well, they've already tried.
Okay.
Will that be through WSB or through?
Correct.
I guess I still don't understand why, even if it's not a lot of ponding, there's not supposed to be ponding, right?
Well, it could be an issue with the driveway too that was put in correctly too.
But that would, if you lowered the driveway, that would just move the ponding into their driveway, right?
If you lowered the driveway, it'd make the ponding worse.
Right.
So was
So
there,
that sounds to me though that something wasn't quite as it was intended to be.
Correct, and I have yet to see any evidence that it was the city's liability.
Or when you say the city, you mean WSB?
I'm not saying the city, but I'm saying the contractor, that they maybe didn't do it as they were supposed to, because you didn't intend for there to be ponding there, right?
I made it crystal clear that we weren't gonna put any ponding there, that's why we put concrete curb and gutter there.
Right, so now there is ponding, so isn't that on the contractor?
Potentially, but it's not significant enough, in my opinion, to rip up the street.
But if let's say they did rip up the street, that would be on them, right?
It would probably be a fight that we would end up having to fight.
so was it according to the specs for WS, was the contractor consistent with the performance of work consistent with the specs from WSB? And was
Yes.
the WSB specs, were they consistent to what was there before?
No, it wasn't, it was to correct something that was there before, right?
Oh,
It was a vacant lot there before, where the street was. And they built a house, and we reconstructed it to put in, advanced drainage in that low spot, because before it was just, sheet drainage off the road. And we put in some curb and gutter and some catch basins to force the water down off the road, so it wouldn't erode the ditch banks out. We re-sculpted the ditch banks, we put in new riprap in the ditch, installed catch basins, curb and gutter for 300-400 feet each way. And when the dust settled, there was a little ponding at the end of that one driveway, so.
Well, I was shown a picture of it, and it looked like more than a little ponding to me. At least this was, I don't know, 3 weeks ago or something like that. So I don't know, if nothing's changed probably since then, but,
Maybe I suggest maybe you take it offline and maybe you guys can, go over there and meet or something and kind of talk about it further.
well, but I mean, we're preparing to pay the rest of the contract, right, Chris? So that says that
That's a
we
good
say,
point.
hey, project's good, everything's thumbs up, and I don't know if that it is.
But was it a spec issue, or was it a contractor issue? Or,
I don't know.
and was the city responsible for making sure that, who's responsible?
We hired an inspector to manage that for us, plus a project manager.
From WSB?
Be right.
Well, then, maybe they didn't do their job then, I don't know.
And maybe
This isn't
the-
on you, Sean, I think it's either, I was thinking it's either the contractor or WSB, but,
Could be liability with both of them.
Or what about the builder?
With that too.
The builder is the city supposed to kind of conform to what the builder wants to put in?
well, so I haven't spoken with the homeowner, probably since he showed me the pictures, and like I said, it was about 3 weeks ago, so I don't know if there's been, what their position is now. I mean, I could talk to them and see, if they're accepting of it or not. I have no idea.
I think at one point, was WSB talking to the homeowner? We had instructed them, I believe
Yeah,
that,
we met out there, they met out there with the homeowner. Like I said, I refused to cut the road, it's a brand new street.
and I do know that in this specific project for WSB, they had hit their do not exceed, before, I believe we would have probably got our final bill. And so I can reach out to Jeff and make sure that they're not, holding off on putting additional timing to it, because we did have a do not exceed cost, and
Right.
that they hit it, that they have completely hit. And actually, maybe early on, so I don't know if that's maybe causing some of the delay in quick response. I can find out, though.
Can I ask you a question? So if it's a vacant lot, and assuming that the road wasn't going to go through at that point, or there wasn't going to be any construction on the road or maintenance, would they be billed to put a curb cut in? If it was just, if the curb cut wasn't there, who would take the responsibility for that expense in the builder or the homeowner?
would've
So-
put in the driveway access, yes,
Okay, so they have to conform to the road that's there.
correct. Just like everybody else.
So we didn't alter the road that much other than curb and gutter.
We improved it.
Is, like, if we were, let's say we were to table this for this evening, are there any requirements we should be concerned about as far as, I think cities have like 30 days to pay?
I think that,
I don't know the answer to
given the
that.
timing on when we actually finally received this, I've been asking it of WSB for quite some time. I think that waiting a meeting would be fine.
Oh, okay.
And I apologize that we actually, they had asked if we wanted to send someone here, and I wasn't aware that this was an ongoing issue. And so, rather than incur the billable hours, I said, no, thank you. So we can schedule them to come back.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't know if it's an ongoing issue. I'll reach out to the homeowner. And I just, when I saw that, hey, we're making final payment here, maybe we should get that, make sure that's resolved, or at least,
If you can let us know too what you find out from the homeowner,
Okay.
then
Yeah, that would be
if it is appropriate to have WSB at the next meeting, then we can do that. We just didn't want them to come.
okay.
maybe some of this can be resolved before the next meeting is in one
Right.
shape, not physically, but at least get the conversation going.
And I'm sure we don't want ponding to turn to ice over the winter.
Well, that was what the
Right,
concern
slip
was,
and
is
fall.
that turns into ice and, yeah.
So what does the
But I
homeowner
get what
wanna
you're
do?
saying too. Yeah,
It's-
I mean, I hated to see when, in front of the vet clinic, how they have to cut up the road there and
I
then
know.
actually 3 times or whatever it was. And so, we had this nice road going through our downtown and now we have this big cutout there, so.
Well, they issued a moratorium for 5 years and have cut the road, so.
Was it a boulevard?
County did?
Well, yeah, but it's been 5 years, right? Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
it's been 5 years.
yeah.
And there might be a situation, I don't know if, if we can raise an area or whichever, but I think that WSB needs to
Yeah.
tell us how they settled it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but does the homeowner want us to, I mean, what do they wanna do? What
I don't
are
know.
they gonna do?
That's what I'll reach out. I just know that, I saw him at, one of our kids' basketball games about 3 weeks ago, and I said, hey, how did that turn out? Because I know there was drainage going right through that lot before, right? So I thought it was like, this was gonna be a great fix, and he says, well, it's better, but we still have this ponding, and he showed me a picture, and, in front of the driveway, so.
Isn't it on a hill?
Yeah, I mean, no, I guess it's kind of in the low part of Linda Wood. And then their house, I couldn't really tell what the driveway pitch was, but I'll reach out to them, see what they're thinking
Agreed.
now.
All right, do we need to make a motion to table it, or?
I would
use-
recommend that under the circumstances.
Yeah,
All right.
And include a rationale for why we're doing so, just in case there's a time clock we're running up against. I think it would be good to document the purpose for the tabling.
do we
So
need a
there's no
motion to
extra
do that?
fees
Yeah.
that they're
Yeah,
gonna?
just a motion to table pending.
I'll take care of it if there are.
Want to take
I think they're.
a crack at that, John, or you
I'll
want,
take care of it if there are. I mean, there won't be
Okay.
it's page
Oh,
31.
WSB?
with either.
Or, I'm sorry, I was wrong, no, it's page 20, you're right, I was skipping ahead.
All right, so
It wouldn't be appropriate to charge us a fee.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to table the final payment to Asphalt Surface Technologies Corporation, until we have reviewed the final condition of the project, or.
I'll second that.
Nice, motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
But I just like, if it's according to specs, I mean,
We don't know.
you gotta pay them.
That's what we gotta figure out, but I mean,
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not according to spec. I'm just saying there might, if it's according to spec and it's ponding, then it's. then I
But we
guess
still
there's
have to
nothing
pay
we
the
do.
contractor who did it according to spec, I mean.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we were voting
But we
to
don't
do.
know if the contractor did it. I mean, WSB might say, well, they were kind of a little bit off and
Oh, okay, if you're gonna, that's what we're gonna check.
I don't know what the answer is, yeah.
so just we have it for the record, were you a yes vote or a no?
All right, I'll
Are you
delay it.
abstaining?
I'll abstain.
You're abstaining, okay.
Whoa.
All right, so 4
Exciting.
and abstain. All right.
Motion carried.
The motion carries, thank you. All right, that was, then we will move on to item, lost my page here, 7B, establish a public works seasonal on-call snowplow operator position. So Jeanette, this is yours, I believe.
Well, this one's really Sean's, and he knows a lot more about it than I do. He prepared the position description, I formatted it and made it look pretty, exactly. Exactly. And just prepared this for him, so if you'd like, I can just turn that over to you.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Before you tonight, we have a proposal to establish a on-call snowplow operator position. This, in light of recent happenings in the Public Works Department, we're going into the 2025-2026 snow season, pretty short-staffed. being short-staffed, myself and a 19-year-old maintenance worker. So with that being said, we're going to need a little bit better coverage of any potential snow events that might trickle down and come through Long Lake in upcoming seasons. And so we have established or currently attempting to establish a on-call snowplow operator position. This position will plow streets, sidewalks, parking lots, shoveling, whatever it takes to, walking trails, whatever it takes to get the job done. It won't be specific on any particular days, any other than the days that it snows. Holidays won't be exempt, weekends won't be exempt, nights won't be exempt. It'll be a typical on-call snowplow operator position. We have a individual that is lined up and ready to go, pending the approval of this position. And I'm quite happy that the individual has decided to join us after being retired for 5 years.
Is that Luke?
No, we
Close.
turned it down.
Oh,
No?
So it's, Don Gasper has graciously accepted to help us out this winter, pending, hopefully we can gain some traction on the employment side of things. So with that being said, I would ask the council to consider approval of the on-call position.
I do want to add to that if you don't mind. I just wanted to add that I think we as staff, we've prepared this position description and adding this into the salary pay plan and prepared the resolution because we envision that this could be a position that might not just be a great necessity to Public Works this year, but in future years, there's benefit. You know, if Sean finds himself in a position where he has entry-level workers that he's training and you have these big snow events, I mean, the last few years while you've been training and we've been dealing with snow have really been a struggle. So I think we envision this as being a position that we would be able to staff on an as-needed basis if it was determined that that was warranted given the circumstances of the department at any given time. So we were approaching that not just for this year, but recognizing a potential use for the position on an as-needed basis, given whatever circumstances the department is facing in the future.
Very similar to a summer seasonal position.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
But
Makes
pushing
sense.
snow plowing's a lot harder than using a weed whacker.
It is.
you need a commercial driver's license? Do you need one for snowplow?
In the big trucks, you do, the
Yes.
other ones, you don't.
Okay.
It is a wonderful thing that we have a candidate actively interested who already knows our streets and our equipment well. There won't be any more training while we're trying to hire. It will be someone who is ready and used to mobilizing quickly.
Yeah.
So.
That's great. Appreciative of that. All right, want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 2025-39, establishing the position of Public Works seasonal on-call snowplow operator and amending the city's 2025 salary plan.
All right, I'll second that. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Oppose? Motion carries unanimously. Great, thanks for your creativity on that. How's it coming as far as the posted position and that kind of trickling along, or any public information on that? No.
You say, I think.
I received a couple applications that are not qualified. They don't meet the minimum requirements for the position. That said, I think we'll be contacting them back to see, some have more interesting background than others, and I think we would reserve the right to, potentially ask them if they'd be interested in applying for a maintenance worker one at a different wage rate. I don't think we're gonna turn any options away right now.
I haven't even seen them, so.
No, you will. I'm banking everything there, but, one of them comes with a fair amount of fleet and building, background, building maintenance background, it looks like, so.
Okay, all right. Good, thanks for the update there. All right, so then we move on to other business. Going around the horn here, Councilmember Newcomer.
Nothing for me.
All right, Councilmember Feldman.
Yeah, John and I had the fire board this morning. John's, what's your?
Vice
position?
chair?
I'm the vice
So
chair.
he's more official and, so I'll let him talk a little bit more. But I want to talk about the fun thing. I called Jeanette today, that Cody delivered a baby while he was
Oh, wow.
on a call, which I just thought that was pretty cool.
Yesterday.
Neat.
Cool thing about that, after someone gave me a tip, apparently there is a stork pin that is going to be issued. I asked if there was anything going out on Facebook about something so wonderful, and they said, not yet, not till the stork pin ceremony, so.
Nice.
He got his deliver baby merit badge, essentially. So
Oh, wow.
pretty
Now,
cool.
did he deliver it or did the mom?
No.
I've seen a lot of medics take credit for that. Where it's like,
He said that
He said
he
he,
was crowning when he showed up, and it was, I think there was some difficulty too with it, and health and baby,
Wow.
and so,
Good.
yeah.
That's great. Are they named the baby Cody then, or?
That's what we asked. Yeah, she will not be named. No, I don't know. I don't know what. I don't know. That was a joke. I didn't hear the outcome.
Well, many happy congratulations
Todd's
to the
probably-
family.
And Cody, too.
I've delivered a few babies.
deliver.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, wow.
Todd's running around.
No.
I just don't get that.
That's
Of those
great.
7, Mom did most of those 7.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if there's
Neat.
fire board stuff you want to talk about. I mean, I had a lot of questions just about budget and how things were allocated, and I came away feeling much better. You know, a lot of it was, you know, budget just coming to a bottom line, but making sure that we maintain the control with the fire chief and his eventual leadership team, which is still to be established.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of discussions I thought were really positive and good.
Yeah, I'll just add, if you're.
Yeah, I'm done.
I'll just add to that, so Mike and I are the fire board directors from Long Lake, and Bob Thunheim and Steve Persian are the directors from Orono. Steve is the chair. We elected him or appointed him chair, and then I'm the vice chair. The meeting went well, I thought. Amanda was there. By the way, there's an operating committee that's made up of 2 representatives from each city, the administrators, so Amanda and Adam, plus 2 others who are either employees or members of a committee. So on their side, it's Corey, a police chief, Orono police chief, and then on our side, it's Judd Axelson, who's on our planning commission. So I thought that was a good, a good representation from both sides. And then in addition to that, the fire chief. So right now, Mike Highland is the only employee officially of the Shoreline Fire Department. But we approved an org chart that now he's going to start populating with recommendations to fill those positions. And we've got, we're going to be, normally we'll be meeting on a quarterly basis. The directors, the operating committee will meet on a monthly basis, but for November, I think we've got several meetings planned just in the next, like almost every week, maybe, because there's a lot to get through, like the appointing positions. There were some other things on there that.
A lot of conversion
yeah,
information.
yeah. So, and you could say more, Amanda, but I'll just say that I felt okay about, at first I thought, this budget seems high, but when we went through it and talked it through, it kind of made sense. So I think we're in a good starting spot, and we'll continue to have to develop some things. You know, there might be some challenges and some, you know, difficult decisions along the way, but I'm glad that we got past, you know, the big hurdle of getting the JPA signed last week. Orono feels the same way, and I think that you know, we'll hopefully be starting off in January with Shoreline Fire Department. So that's all I'll say on that. Amanda can say more, but the other thing I wanted to say was congratulations to the Orono football team. They won their section last Friday against Zimmerman. They beat Zimmerman 28-0, and so now they're on to state, and their first game is against Fergus Falls, and it's in Alexandria, because the first game is in a neutral field, so that's that, and if we get past that, then it's off to US Bank. So
Only one game between.
yeah, it's one game Thursday. If you lose, you're done. If you win, you go on to so Thursday's a quarterfinal, and then there's a semifinal at US Bank Stadium, and then the finals at US Bank Stadium. Yeah, so two more. Two at the US Bank, one at the neutral site. So
One more
So-
outdoor game and then.
yeah. So congratulations to them, and hope for continued success.
What's the prediction? Nobody
I
likes
don't
to
know.
predict.
I don't like to make
Bad
predictions.
luck.
All I'll say is they looked pretty good on Friday. I mean,
28 to 0.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
impressive.
so
Great,
Yeah, that is really exciting.
yeah,
great.
that's all from me.
All right, I covered all mine in the mayor comments, so nothing to add for me.
Nothing for me.
Okay, so we'll go to me. To add on to what Councilmember Dybek was saying, we did meet as an operating committee. I think our role as operating committee will just be to gather information from the chief and look at the needs of the fire department and present that to the board. In addition to the operating committee, we're also going to be meeting weekly. Another group of us will be meeting weekly for transition meetings. And I had my first meeting last week with the Orono staff, and it went wonderful. We are working very hard to get everything transitioned appropriately and making sure that it's a smooth conversion for all employees. We will be looking at things. We did get our EIN, which was very exciting. Yes, very exciting. So now we're going to be looking at converting the insurance, getting software set up, chart of accounts, all the fun background stuff. So that will be our weekly meetings at the transition.
And you're working with Maggie, the finance person over there.
I'm actually working
Or-
with, they have quite a large staff dedicated to this. So I'll be working with the Ann, their HR and accountant, Maggie, their finance person. I'll be working with Rachel, their communications person, and Jeanette will also be working with Rachel as well.
Yeah.
And probably Christine, their city clerk, for any postings and such. So there's a large staff that I'm working with. to
And
get
Rachel,
this.
their communication person, had sort of put an outline of a communication plan. She's going to get together with Mike Highland to
Correct.
sort of get input from him, and then and it sounds like you'll be working with her too to sort of lay out that plan on how we sort of unveil this to the world.
Right, yes. So there's going to be a lot of work behind the scenes the next couple weeks, but I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to working with Orono staff to
Yeah.
get this done smoothly. The other thing I was going to mention, I did attend the mini watershed meeting this week. Or was it last week? It was well attended. It was wonderful to see so many residents there. But what impressed me the most is the next day I came in, and Rachel and I have already set up our first meeting for December to try to get the ball rolling on what we can do in Long Lake to...
Different Rachel, not the one that we were just talking
yes,
about.
I apologize. Yes, Rachel with the watershed.
Yeah.
Oh,
Minnehaha Creek watershed. So her and I have been in communications, and I believe we invited Sean. So we'll be doing a meeting in December
Yeah.
for...
And if I can add to that, there was a great crowd there, and a lot of people were, the Minnehaha Creek Watershed District kind of laid out their plan of first looking at the watershed loads that come, from runoff, And then it was sort of the upstream loads, like from Holy Name and Wolfsfeld Lakes, and then third was like the internal loads, which was, what's the phosphorus in there or that's already in the lake that isn't going anywhere. And that's when you hear about alum treatments, that's really to take care of the internal loads. And there was like a lot of comments from the audience that, no, we don't think it should be, done in that order, because then it's going to take 10 years or whatever before you're even looking at the internal loads. And so there was a lot of comments like, we think we should be looking at that now. And they weren't opposed to that, although they did say that if you take care of your internal loads and you haven't taken care of the loads that are coming in, now you're just, going to still it's just perpetuating the problem. But I think there was enough interest in that, and I don't know if you're going to be talking to Rachel about that, but I think that at least the feedback that I got afterwards too was that, we should take a serious look at that. And I know we have had some people here from the Lake Association that's been looking at that. It's not cheap, but, it makes a big difference. And with the condition that the lake was in this year especially, people were strongly interested in that. But that's my comments about
No,
that.
absolutely. So and that's part of my goal. Basically what you were saying, I know that right now our residents and our neighboring residents are very passionate about what's happening. And so it is my intention to continuously working with Rachel to make sure that side is addressed. And then we're also, as a city, we're hoping to put some money aside if possible to for anything that we can do or even donate to any projects.
Do have a message in actually to Gambling Control that's still awaiting a reply on whether or not our 10% charitable gambling funds could potentially, because we know they can be donated to some degree
To a
for certain projects to a 501c3. So while we might not necessarily have the funding mechanism available, we might be able to, we're exploring whether we can donate to an organization like the Waters Association that might be working towards projects, so
Great.
Yeah, that would
we're
be
exploring
nice.
our options.
Yeah.
And that is all for me.
All right, thanks, Jeanette.
Continuing to make forward momentum with our e-permitting software. I do feel pretty confident that we'll have that up and running before January 1, at least that's the goal. I had a second training session, and our training sessions are a little less training and a little more work through a lot of things behind the scenes and kind of status of where we're at and changes that we need and whether things are mocking up correctly. So basically I have a 1 hour session once a week right now, essentially with them to kind of go through some things, see where we're at, see what changes we need. So yeah, they're continuing to work away at it, and I'm continuing to send them every bit of information they're looking for. So I've been told I'm ahead of schedule. But I still feel like I'm playing catch up on it a little bit, but I hope to be able to see that up and running soon. It sounds like my next training session is going to give me my first glance at a portal in progress, so.
Good. Exciting. All right. Anything else? Sean, any other updates from you?
In light of everything else going on, we conducted a water loss audit on our water distribution system, and which encompasses a individual that comes in with very sensitive microphones and listens to our pipes for leaks. To put it in a simplest form version that I can put it in. And they were here for 3 or 4 days, did the entire system, and we found a leaking hydrant by Carboni's,
Oh, wow.
which is on the list to get fixed. We found one at the shop, we already fixed that one, and we have a water main break on Harrington that we'll be fixing on Wednesday.
So is that like leaking into somebody's yard or underground, or how is that working?
I had a sneaking suspicion that we had a main break back when we flooded the rink last winter, but it never daylighted all summer long. So I decided to have that audit done. It's probably been 5 years since we've done it, and lo and behold, when we got over there, we were on, Barrington, and sure enough, we hit a hot spot, and, upon further investigation, it's coming up in the storm sewer manhole, down the storm sewer, so that's how we found it.
Here's mine, I
Into,
forgot.
right, or in the Lone Lake.
So that's why I never daylighted it, hit the storm sewer and just kept right on rocking, so, we found it, Friday and we dug up on Wednesday.
So is that when we were talking earlier about water sold versus water pumped?
Correct, yep.
The difference?
Yep, so Sean and I actually we try to work pretty closely to identify these things, and I brought to him a discrepancy, and right away he had a guy out here, and so it was identified, and it's gonna get fixed, so I'm very
And
excited.
they have equipment that can measure water flow or something without getting into it, or how do they do that?
It just sound,
Oh, it's a sound, because I've seen I get these ads on my computer sometimes. It's a residential device that you can put on a pipe, and I don't know if it's just legit or not, but that somehow can measure, I don't know if it measures water flow to see if you have a running toilet or whatever, you know, that you're not aware of. But are those,
you gotta have straight lengths of pipe in order to be accurate, you can't have any bends.
yeah, but what's it do? Is it sound?
Sound waves that bounce
Oh,
across.
'cause I was-
fast.
Amazing.
It's more of a clean water application that doesn't like dirty water. Because the dirty.
But it sounded like it's just something you clamp on the outside of a pipe, yeah. Huh.
Now,
Interesting.
that said, we actually have the ability, Andy has the ability, with Waterworks to do data logs. So if we ever if there's ever a concern or suspecting based on higher usage, you can do a data log that goes back, how many days?
I believe it's a few months, so it gives you daily and hourly. I shouldn't say this, because everybody's gonna call me tomorrow.
So
we
like
can
you
do-
can check middle of the night kind of hours?
Correct,
If you
and
have
so,
something running.
Can you check mine?
nonstop-
I can, and I might.
I'm serious, I think I've
No, I
got
think-
something.
Two of the
I
communities I lived in, I
think-
got calls from the city saying you have a water leak.
I've sent I sent
You-
postcards.
called-
Small,
you've
like a
called
sprinkler
me.
head.
I might have,
It
yeah.
never
Yeah.
stopped running.
No.
So we also, probably about a year ago, implemented a postcard mailing
Oh,
to send to people that says, the trick is it says you might have a water leak. It's hard, especially in the summer, it's hard to identify with irrigation and such. But yes, I can easily run one for you. It takes a little bit of time because I have to send
Well,
public works.
you got more important things than that,
Well, unfortunately, I passed the buck. I say, Sean, can you do this?
but he's got more important things than that,
Went on a snow day.
These microphones are so sensitive, they can lay it on the asphalt street and I can hear your meter spin in the house.
so, really?
Wow.
Wow.
Jeez.
So, it's very, very, interesting and kinda like watching them do it, so.
Kind of like watching what?
I like watching them look for it and hearing the meter spin. I don't like fixing it, but
I'm actually glad you said that because one of the reports I have to do annually for, water pumped versus water sold actually does ask when was your last water loss audit, so maybe I have to bug Sean about that every year and now I've got it written down, thank you.
So we got the pump is right on the water tower, that we're kind of the standard, and then the sold is based on the meters in the house.
It's, yeah, correct.
pump versus sold, and there's a lag in there for what's in the tower and what's in the lines and
We try to get close.
we try to stay 10% or less between the two.
How does it work with the fire hydrant? If you do hydrants, there's no way to measure those, is there? Like a meter at the hydrants? No.
Well, we got a hydrant meter that we can put on there if we sell water.
Well, sure.
It's just,
Shop it. And then, we've got, 74 emerald ash borer trees down,
Wow.
gone. And we
It's a big,
probably identified 25 more in the last few days, so.
wow.
But we're pumping the brakes pretty hard for 2025, and we've got probably 10 or so over here that if I ever get a staff again, that we'll whittle on, but we're gonna wait for 2026 to get some of these big nasty ones that are remaining that, so.
Hmm,
The major public safety ones are done and gone, and a distant memory now, so,
good.
yeah, so we're good.
Nice job. Okay,
That's all I got.
good stuff. All right, when's the first snowfall? Any predictions?
They're saying Saturday.
Yeah.
You know, some.
Vacation, I saw that on.
Because
Oh,
of vacation,
good
so we're
timing.
hoping it's not
So Mike's
Saturday.
plowing.
Right, you have a Class A license, Class B?
I know.
I could plow.
Right, right,
I can feel.
all right.
Truck group on the truck.
It's already November. Any, from the park board, any talk of a tree lighting ceremony
We're
this
having a
year?
little trouble getting a meeting together where we can get a quorum. We're
Okay.
working on it.
All right. Tree's still there though? They didn't accidentally cut down our new Christmas holiday tree there, right?
It looks absolutely beautiful.
Nice, good.
The tree is growing.
Yes.
Has it gotten taller than me?
Show you a picture of it after the meeting.
Oh, it's a cool picture.
Put a lot of fertilizer on it.
Good. That's awesome. All right, last call. Anybody else? So our next meeting is, well, heads up, next Tuesday, November 11th, Veterans Day. City offices are closed that day. Mentioned tomorrow's election day, but no elections taking place in Long Lake tomorrow. Our next council meeting is on Tuesday, November 18th, and most likely a work session as well.
Oh, is there a fire advisory board meeting this Wednesday
There's,
of the Long Lake Fire Department?
there is going to be a fire advisory board meeting.
That's in the morning, right?
Yes, at 10 a.m.
Okay.
I believe that's on the, I don't remember the date, sorry. Is it this Wednesday?
It's this Wednesday,
Yep,
yeah.
one day.
Oh, interesting. So it's kind
So
of
Todd,
dual.
that's you and me. I have to check my schedule because we moved from the afternoon to the morning on that. and Not sure.
I will tell you, so when I put the packet together at the last meeting, if you recall, we talked a little bit about the necessity for a final meeting. And so it's just gonna be to kind of wrap things up.
This will be the last one then?
This will be the I believe that was the intention when we planned it. Yes, it will be the last one. Yes, I don't expect anything major on the agenda.
10 a.m., right?
Yes,
One of the last actions, I guess, of the Long Lake Fire was the purchase of the 5 HVAC units to put on the roof. Is that still happening?
correct. That is happening. We talked with, Adam and I talked with Chief at one of our meetings, and said that it was completely approved and he could go ahead and get that set up. I'll actually be following up with them. We may be bringing that up at the Fire Advisory Board meeting just to get everybody's input on how how we're going to distribute those costs. But
So what was approved was to go with the contractor that Mike had been working with.
Correct.
Right? And yes, so the question is, and we can talk about this at Fire Advisory Board, but 2 needed replacement now, right? So
Correct.
we might try to distribute those among the 3 cities.
that was going to be my
And
recommendation.
then the other 3 would just be between Long Lake and Orono, because that's going to benefit us going forward.
Correct. That
Right,
was going to be
yeah.
my recommendation. I was going to get feedback at the Fire Advisory Board meeting.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Well, we'll see what Medina says about it, but. Because those 2 units probably should have been replaced years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue that we're not just throwing those in at the last minute here before the contract is over to try to get as much as we can out of it. It was like they should have been done a while ago, but because of,
That's kind of how I understood at our last Fire Advisory Board meeting that we were discussing the 2 because they were in need of replacement. And at that time, it was just asked if it was going to be cost beneficial to do all 5.
right, because there's one
Just
crane.
one crane.
Rental and
And
do all
so-
5, and so
yes.
it made sense to do that.
So that is also, it is on the agenda to discuss.
Okay.
Good.
Well, Amanda, you've really kind of taken on a lot of hats in a very short period of time.
Yeah, yes. But I think so far all the balls are still in the air, so.
Impressive.
Good. All right, if there's no objection, I'll adjourn the meeting by general consent. Hearing none, meeting is adjourned at 7:24 PM.